Today we are reading Carrimebac, The Town That Walked. Written by David Barclay Moore, illustrated by John Holyfield. Click the link directly below the video to buy this book on Amazon. After the video, stay tuned for reading questions and activity ideas, and visit laurenmartinbooks.com for more free learning resources. Please like, share, and subscribe to Lauren Martin Books for more read-along stories. Now let's read Carrimebac, The Town That Walked. All the folks in Walkerton, Georgia, remembered the hot, sweaty afternoon when old Rootilla Redgums and her peculiar grandson strolled into town. Aunt Minnie's cat hissed, Uncle Joe's dog snarled, and all of Pete Slewfoot's pet crows suddenly flew south for the winter. Only it wasn't near winter yet. It was only old Rootilla Redgums. Some said she was older than dirt, Georgia's bright red dirt. Others said she was older than Canoochee Creek, which ran straight through Liberty County. If you asked old Rootilla, she would say that she had been born in Africa in the year 1776, the same year the United States was born. She claimed to be almost 100 years old. Her grandson, Julius Jefferson, was only 9, but many people saw an older twinkle behind the boy's dark brown eyes, if you happened to stare into them the right kind of way. Soon after moving to Walkerton, grandboy Julius found a scrawny white duck wandering about its outskirts. Right off, he fell in love with that duck and named it Woodrow, or Woody for short. Sometimes one of the hungrier Walkerton villagers would snatch poor Woody and toss the bird into a boiling pot to cook for their supper. But after a while, when they peeked under the hot pot's lid, Woody would have vanished. Mysteriously, the duck would pop up again in Julius's caring arms. Before Rootilla, grandboy Julius, and Woodrow came to town, the black townsfolk's lives had been miserable. They were always sad. The white towns surrounding Walkerton had refused to buy any goods or crops from them because of the color of the villagers' skin. But after Rootilla came to town, Walkerton began to blossom. All the other towns wanted to buy the things Rootilla had shown the Walkerton blacks how to make. She taught them to weave rugs that never wore down, to fire or bake ceramic jugs that never emptied, or sarsaparilla, and to carve and wooden walking sticks that somehow never got you lost in the woods. Most folks loved buying those wonderful handiworks, but some who lived around Walkerton grew afraid. They believed the blacks who lived there practiced magic. Rootilla always used to say that she wasn't magic, but the things she made were. One day, Julius was skipping rocks across Canoochee Creek when one of those fearful folks accused him of stealing his duck. "No, sir, Woody is my duck," said Julius. "I owned him since Granny and me came to Walkerton, almost a year ago." "Liar," the fearful man yelled. "By criminy, give me back my dang duck right now, boy, or all of Walkerton will suffer darnation." Julius grabbed Woody and ran back to town. That evening, the fearful man came back with a mob of fearful folks, all wearing white sheets and wearing blazing torches. They meant to burn Walkerton and its magic to the ground. So old Rootilla, backed by her own townsfolk, faced them at the town's border. When the fearful folks raised their flames toward the citizens of Walkertown, their torches changed to cornstalks in their hands. They fled, vowing to return the next day at sunset. That same night, Rootilla grew very sick. In her little bed in her tiny house, she told Julius, "Dear young grandbabe of 10, this is my birthday. I am 100 today, my last night with you. Once I leave, carry me back to where I was born, where from all of us come, back home." And with a smile, old Rootilla Redgums passed on. All the next morning and all the next afternoon, Julius spent carving. It was almost sunset, but not quite, when the boy finally finished whittling the large log he had found. He had whittled it down into a curvy wooden pole. The Walkerton folks planted the pole into the red dirt at the border of town so that it stood there like a signpost. They had each etched their names into the new post. At its top, Julius had carved the word Carrimebac. Just before sunset, the fearful folks returned in greater numbers. They now toted more torches and even more scary things. Brave and bold little Julius Jefferson, backed by his townsfolk, tied a slender rope around the fancy Carrimebac signpost. The other end of the rope he looped around Woody, the duck's narrow ivory neck. Julius pointed at Woody and shouted, "Now, duck, walk!" And the little duck strained, wobbled, and actually walked, pulling the entire small village slowly behind it. The fearful folks stood frozen in astonishment. Most of them dropped their torches and bolted toward home. As the town lumbered along, dragged behind Woody, it didn't trample over the countryside as much as it gently nudged everything else aside. Its passing made loud, groaning noises like a very large man waking from a very long nap. It began to pick up speed. As the town sped across Liberty County, it gathered a few more passengers. Some free folk who spotted the town whisking by happily leapt aboard, the way you might leap onto a log swiftly floating down a stream. Still many other gawkers were too afraid to take a chance and jump. The town that walked sailed across Blackbeard Creek and the salt marshes. Woody's small web feet flew through the sticky mud and reeds as if they weren't even there. Soon the hamlet reached the ocean. In familiar territory, Woody began to paddle furiously, still hauling the entire village. Where the town once sat, there now rests a natural lake. The locals named it Lake Carrimebac in honor of its former residents. No one in Liberty County, Georgia, ever heard anything about the town of Carrimebac ever again. But we all know the stories about what happened after it sailed across the ocean. You don't? Well, some other time, perhaps. What was your favorite part of this book? Where do you think the town of Carrimebac and its people went? What was the setting of this story? When and where did it happen? Who were the characters in this story? Describe them. What was the conflict in the story? How did the different characters respond to the conflict, and how did they resolve it? What did the characters learn in the story, and what can you learn from them? What is the theme of the story? What is the author's purpose in writing this book, and what does he want you to learn from reading it? Write or draw what you learned from this book, or your favorite characters or scenes or themes from this story. Please like, share, and subscribe to Lauren Martin Books for more read-along stories. Visit laurenmartinbooks.com for more books and free learning resources. Thank you for reading with me.